Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Crimes, Killers, Cults,
And beer.
and Beer. So, what is this? Episode 10 now.
10, yes.
We're into double digits.
Finally.
Yay.
Yay, double digits.
So, what are you drinking?
Well, Bud Light again.
Yeah, me too. So, fuck, man.
Uh-oh. I figured I didn't have time to stop by the liquor store to get fancy beer again, so I just said...
I just realized that I am not motivated at all.
Oh, this will be a fun one.
You ever get like that where it's just blah?
Yeah.
And you don't realize it until you start doing what you're trying to do, and you're like, wait a minute, that sucks.
I don't really want to do this right now.
So, anyway, we don't really have any shout outs on this episode, but that doesn't mean anything. So we're just gonna dive right into it.
Hell yeah.
Mentioned on the last episode, which we hope y'all liked that, because we sure as hell had a good time recording it.
Yes, we did. It was a bitch to edit, but it was fun to record.
Yeah, especially with the monsoon that was happening outside my place. So,
but I managed.
But yeah, we sure did have fun recording it. It was, yeah, and we hope we didn't piss anybody off with that, because it was a joke, and it was a joke that not everybody's going to get until the end. Then they find out that they wasted an hour on a joke.
Yeah, well, we hope you all found it funny.
Oh yeah. So, but as we mentioned last week, we are covering a cult that I was part of, yes, through no choice of my own. The cult was Faith Assembly, based out of Warsaw, Indiana, which that right there just sounds like it'd be a place where you would find a cult.
Yes, it does.
And the cult leader, Hobart Freeman.
Hobart
E. Dr. Hobart E. Freeman.
Oh, he's a doctor.
He's a doctor.
So where did he get his degree at? One of those paper mills?
No. Well, he went to Georgetown College. And,
he actually went to a college? Okay, so he's not like fucking, what's his name, Kent Hovind, that just fucking got his degree from a degree mill, like an online college?
Yeah, it's not, he wasn't like that.
It calls himself a doctor?
Yeah. He's like, oh God, what movie was that where Dennis Leary just went off on Dr. Dre, and he's just like, what? My brother went to medical school for 6 years just to be called doctor, and you just woke up one day and you decided you're going to be a doctor? What movie was that?
Oh shit, I don't know.
Was it Disorderlies?
I don't remember. I mean, I remember kind of what you're saying, but
God, Disorderlies.
I don't remember what it's from.
I haven't even thought about that movie in decades.
Right.
I remember it was funny though. but yeah, he was a doctor. And one thing, I've noticed is that a whole bunch of cults came out of Indiana. I mean, Jim Jones and, the People's Temple, they came out of Indiana.
Yeah.
So, yes, welcome to Indiana. We're known for the worst roads in the country, and cults.
And cults.
They do have Indiana and Michigan have the worst roads of any state that I've ever driven in, and but Indiana is a little bit worse than Michigan.
All right, I haven't driven in either one of them, so I'll take your word for it.
Well, your car will thank you for that.
All right then.
Yeah, driving the interstate think it's I-60, or it's either I-60 or I-70 through Indianapolis. You might as well think about some of the back roads in Palm Bay, like way out west in Palm Bay.
Oh, like around the compound?
Yeah, except you're doing highway speeds over it.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it is that freaking bad. But yeah, basically like driving on the moon.
Wow.
Under Earth's gravity.
Of course.
So,
please, yeah, no thanks. Pass.
Yeah. Yeah, and I drove through Warsaw one time, and I was just like, I just kind of had this eerie feeling when I was driving through it.
Oh yeah, I bet that was weird, man.
It was, but I was looking for the place, but it burned down, so it's not there.
Oh, shucks.
But this episode we're going to cover Hobart Freeman and the cult itself, and
Hobart,
and then yeah, and then next episode, I've never known anybody named Hobart.
Dude, Hobart is like kitchen appliances, man. That's not something you name your kid,
right? So,
boy.
But then the next episode will be my story.
Yes.
So he was born on November 17th of 1920 in Ewing, Kentucky. And he died December 8th of 1984. So after he as a kid, his family moved to St. Petersburg, Florida, where he was a high school dropout. Yeah. But he went into business for himself. He started selling Bryant and Stratton business insurance. So yeah, so he was basically learning how to be a salesman at that point, and to sell insurance you have to be better than most salespeople because you're trying to sell people things that they really don't give a shit about.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if I want a car, I'm going to be excited to go talk to a salesperson. I really don't want to talk to an insurance salesperson.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like insurance, it's something you need, but it's something you don't want somebody like pushing that shit down your throat. It's like, yeah, look, I know I need it. Fuck off.
And I was an insurance salesperson in South Carolina for about a year, and I hated it. It was just boring. I mean, people don't want to talk about that shit. They
exactly.
don't. They're just like, okay, give me what I need and get the fuck out of my face.
Yep.
So, and as a young adult, he came down with polio, and he walked with a limp for the rest of his life. And at 31 years old, he converted to Christ, and he was baptized as Southern Baptist. But before becoming a Baptist, he had a heart attack. And he said that he claimed, now this is a term that you're going to hear a lot in this episode, he claimed his healing. Like, I claim this in the name of God.
Oh.
That's how you activate the faith healing mechanism. Oh, which by the way, this is a faith healing death cult, is what it is. I should have said that at the outset.
Like the Christian Scientists.
I'm not sure what that is.
Oh, James Hetfield his family was Christian Scientists. It's like, if God wants you healed, he'll heal you.
Oh, something like that. Well,
like if you fall down and break your leg and you break your shin and your foot is like sticking out 90 degrees, they don't do nothing. It's like, if God wants you normal, he'll make you normal. Yeah,
that's what this is, but it wasn't the Christian Science though. It was this was more. I mean, I don't know much about them, but if this, it would be bad enough if that was the only wacky thing that this cult did, but it's not.
Yeah,
it's not. So yeah. So he threw out all of his medicine after having the heart attack, and then he had an angina attack, and I don't know what that is. Do you? Angina?
I've heard the term, but I don't know what it means right offhand, to be honest with you. It has something to do with, like, your heart.
Oh. That's something, sounds like how I might say vagina after a 12-pack. Let me get some of that angina.
Right.
So, but shortly after that attack, he was healed miraculously, and he saw this as an act of God. So that's ultimately what showed him religion. He had two serious things happen as a result of because of his heart, and he managed to pull through it with little or no medicine. And then the angina attack, he didn't have any medicine at all. So that was his revelation, that he not only needed to accept God as his Lord and Savior, but he also decided that he needed to become a minister.
Oh, wait, here, hold on a second. Sorry to interrupt, but okay. I just Googled it, and angina is caused by a reduction in the flow of blood to the heart.
Oh, okay. So you were right.
Yes.
I'm not a doctor, and I don't play one on TV.
Yeah, me neither. I had to Google that shit.
So he attended Georgetown College and a Southern Baptist Theological Seminary. Now, how he got in there without a high school diploma, I don't know.
It was different times back then, man.
That's true.
I mean, you realize we're talking about, he was born in what, you say, 1920?
Yeah, we're talking about the 50s.
So, yeah, you're talking about, like, what, the 40s or 50s? It was different back then, man. They didn't have all these computers, everything wasn't linked. You could lie and say, yeah, I graduated high school, and nobody's going to be able to check.
True. But then again, a man of God like him, you'd think he wouldn't lie. But that's all he did was lie.
Yeah.
Once he took the pulpit, that's all he did was lie. So, but he majored. Okay, and this is a red flag right here. This is the first red flag. He wants to become a minister, but he majored in the Old Testament.
Ah.
So, a lot of the fundamentalist Christian groups basically, they take the Old Testament as literal doctrine.
Uh-huh.
And that's where a lot of the cults come from. So yeah, he majored in the Old Testament, not the New Testament. So he was appointed professor of Hebrew and the Old Testament and philosophy and ethics. So ethics is another thing that he didn't have.
Right.
Yeah, one of his major teaching series was called Christian Ethics.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So now here, red flag number 2. He admitted to be influenced by people like Kenneth Copeland and John Osteen and Kenneth Hagin. They were all leaders of the Word of Faith movement. But Kenneth Copeland, you know who he is? He's that crazy. He's that COVID-19.
Oh, that guy.
I blow you with the wind of God. Yeah, that's Kenneth Copeland.
Oh, yeah. I've seen shit that he does, dude. He's insane.
He is, and you can see it in his freaking eyes too. He looks like a reptilian.
Yeah, dude, he's got crazy eyes, dude. You can't trust that dude as far as you can fucking throw him.
No, and I mean it's just, yeah, he is. That is an evil son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And I listened to a podcast called 7 Deadly Sinners. This is a while back, but they did one about Kenneth Copeland, and it's really eye opening. And okay, well, okay, there's your shout out in this episode. 7 Deadly Sinners.
There you go.
So yeah, and that her episode, I think she did like a 3-part episode on the guy.
Oh wow.
And they played, and she played, like, I mean, it's been over a year since I heard that episode, but they they played all sorts of clips from him. That man just really is just insane.
Oh yeah, dude. I've only seen a couple things like people like debunking him or making fun of him on YouTube. And dude,
Yeah.
he is out there like freaking Pluto, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I can't believe that people even take him seriously anymore. Yeah, because I mean, let's face it. Back in the '80s and beyond, a lot of people were naive and didn't really think that a church or whatever was gonna was like, oh, he's a man of God. He might be a little eccentric, but he's still a man of God.
Yeah.
It wasn't till all these scams and everything started coming out, the Catholic pedophiles, all that, and not to mention cults. I mean, Waco, the Branch Davidians,
Mm-hmm.
that Jonestown, and more recently the the Comet people.
Oh yeah.
It's right on the tip of my tongue.
Heaven's Gate.
And Heaven's Gate. We even mentioned it by name in a previous episode.
Yeah.
So, but things like that started opening people's eyes, and people are a lot more skeptical now than they used to be. So I don't know why Kenneth Copeland and Joel Osteen and all these other people are still, I don't know. I guess there's still a lot of gullible people out there.
The power of faith, man. I guess
could be, but the thing about Copeland and all them, I mean, would you really consider them cult leaders? I would call them scam artists, not cult leaders.
Yeah, they're more into just scamming people out their money,
right?
Than committing mass suicide so you can catch a ride on a comet.
We're gonna cover all of these at some point. Heaven's Gate, Jonestown. We might even do an episode on old Kenny Cope, Kenny C.
Kenny C. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, that would be one to be funny to put some audio clips in.
Oh yeah, we can do that.
COVID-19, I'll blow you away with the wind of God. It is done. COVID-19. Oh boy. And Faith Assembly was another one of the ones that did all of the speaking in tongues and laying of hands and all that stuff.
Did they dance with snakes?
Nah.
I guess that's more like Appalachia and stuff, right?
Yeah, but see, dancing we're gonna get into the things that were sins and all that stuff. But one thing that was considered a sin was having a snake as a pet, because of the the Garden of Eden story about the devil being depicted, manifesting as a snake.
Yes.
So having a snake as a pet was a sin.
Oh. So they weren't like the snake handlers that hell those people? What are they called? I forget what they're called.
I can't remember. I think there's like Southern Baptist fundamentalists, I think.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, where they get the rattlesnakes out and the preacher dances around with the fucking rattlesnakes, and if it bites him, he just like, whatever, God will heal me.
Well, that's because he's developed an immunity.
Well, I seen one guy doing that. I saw a video. One guy got bit, and what they didn't tell the rest of the church and everything is that, they rushed him off to the hospital to get antivenom.
Oh.
Because he knew he was going to die if he didn't.
Well, where's your faith?
Yeah, well, that's my point.
Well, that's another. Okay, here's another reason why Faith Assembly wouldn't have been dancing around with snakes. They say don't tempt God, so dancing around with a rattlesnake would definitely
be tempting God for sure.
Right. So, yeah. Oh, and my sources for this, I had two sources, and there was a surprising amount of information on his backstory on Wikipedia. There really was. I was actually surprised at how much there was. So a lot of this, because I wasn't in Hobart Freeman's church. I was in a satellite church down here in Florida, But as for getting the information, I was really shocked about how much information was on the Wikipedia page itself.
Wow.
But and then the other source is me, memory.
Yeah. Right.
So, but I'm going to do my best to keep my experience out of this episode. That way, I'm not beating a dead horse next week.
Yeah, right.
But shortly after Hef, I'm going to call him Hef. Hobart E. Freeman. I'm just going to call him Hef.
Just call him Hef. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know if Hef might not mind. I don't think Hef's not with us anymore, is he?
No, Hef is dead.
I meant like Hugh Hefner,
Oh, I know. Hef is dead.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then he won't mind.
And besides that, if Hobart Freeman was alive, he would be horrified to know that somebody was calling him Hef as like Hugh Hefner.
Well, Hef it is then. Let's carry on.
Yeah. So shortly after aligning with Kenneth Copeland and the likes, he decided that he rejected their doctrine. And their doctrine said that Jesus died spiritually, and his whole thing was Jesus did not die spiritually. He called churches that believe that Jesus died spiritually as being a heresy.
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah, he did a whole thing about the Jesus died spiritually heresy, and
guess it takes a heretic to know a heretic, huh?
Right. So Copeland and all of them, they viewed Hef as a renegade preacher of the faith movement, and then they broke away from him permanently. They basically disavowed him. They told him to go fuck off.
I wash my hands of you.
Yeah. The biggest thing that he believed was 100% faith healing. And he also believed that confession brings possession for anything that you need, including healing. So he was forced out of his own church for that. If you believe that God is there for you to heal you and everything, don't you think that he might have, given human beings the skill to do it?
Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing about this faith healing and all that stuff. Why stop with healing? Why not perform maintenance on your car and just have faith that God's gonna keep your car running?
Right.
Because a mechanic is basically a doctor for your car.
Exactly. I never thought about it that way, but that's good.
So where's your faith, Hef?
Right.
You just buy it. Yeah, I mean, and so why aren't you still driving around that your 1950 your 1950 Vega or something?
Right. You're DeSoto, dude. What? You didn't have enough faith? God didn't fix your car for you?
Oh boy.
Yeah. This is gonna be one of those, I can tell.
So, in 1963, he started Faith Assembly with Melbourne Greeter, and he started at Melvin's own home. And he had a huge barn on his property. At the time, he was working 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just basically building up his church and everything. Working on sermons, building up his church. Trying to grow grow his congregation and everything. And also during that time, he visited Israel.
Oh.
Not Israel Keys, just the country.
Yeah. Well, I figured that's what you meant.
Oh, I don't know. I'd like to think that because Israel Keys would have been somebody that have he would have followed Hef.
Yeah.
The Israel Keys, the serial killer.
Yeah.
And we'll go into that when we cover him, and we will at some point. So
we got a lot planned.
Yeah. So a few years later, Greeter acquired a pink house next to the water tower, which became the official church. Services, basically, they went like this: singing, followed by testimonies from the congregation, and prayer, followed by Hef's sermon. He would tell stories about the end times. He would tell, people obtaining healing by prayer. surviving bad storms or tornadoes or whatever by calming the weather to calm down.
All right.
And he would always tell people that God would heal his polio, but he said that he would say that God wanted him to carry it as an example of faith.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty convenient, huh?
Right.
Well, I'm preaching healing, but I've got this polio that won't go away.
Yeah.
But I have faith that it will happen. See, worship me. You know.
That just makes no sense at all.
No. So.
And people follow this. Okay.
Yeah. Oh shit, we're just getting started, bro.
Oh, that's right. We're in for a long one. Okay. Carry on. Shit, I may need to get a beer here in a minute, but go on.
The church moved into an old sheep barn that was on the property.
Wait a minute. Didn't you just say they bought a pink house under the water tower?
Yeah. Then he moved from the pink house because his church was growing into an old sheep barn that was on the property.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Okay. That owned by Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Melvin Greeter.
And we'll just call him Mel.
Mel, yeah. Because he was a former alcoholic who was saved by Hef. The barn that they moved into, it was named the Glory Barn.
Oh.
Now, if that doesn't scream cult.
Oh, no. Not the Glory Barn.
Yeah, it's called the Glory Barn. What, have you heard of it?
No, but I had visions of things. Never mind. Like you ever go to like the porn shops and go back to the glory hole?
Oh shit! No, I've never been to a glory hole.
Me neither, but I've heard about it.
Okay, all right, we'll go with that.
A friend told me about it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh boy, were there any cats there?
My friend didn't say anything about cats, so no, I don't know.
Thank God. But what he would do is, he was very antisocial. He would just show up, preach, and disappear. So that he would never mingle with his congregation or anything like that.
Oh, that's suspicious.
And that's suspicious, and it also maintains a level of mysteriousness around him, like, oh, I'm just going to show up and talk and leave, kind of, it'd be kind of like an Yngwie Malmsteen concert.
No. Just no. There's nothing mysterious about that fat fucking asshole, man.
Well, he would just show up and leave, and he'd be dicks to people and stuff like that. So that's where that.
Yeah, no, I got you, but yeah, that's not being mysterious. That's just being a fat fuck asshole.
So he would teach his own interpretation of the Bible, and he's basically twisting it to his own means, which, that's what cult leaders do.
That's what they do. Damn right.
He would also preach that the congregation of Faith Assembly was the chosen few to get up to heaven. Nobody else, unless you were part of Faith Assembly or one of its satellite churches, that you were not, you're doomed to hell. It was just that. Nobody else.
Well, that's not very.
Well, it's typical. It's typical of cult leaders. A lot of them will do that. Hell, the Mormons preach about the 144,000. So you better be really, really good, a really, really good Mormon. Otherwise, you're not going to be one of the 144,000.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm not religious at all. In fact, I would consider myself an atheist.
Yeah.
However, that everybody knows about Jesus and the Bible and stuff. And I have read the Bible, and I'm not, but that just doesn't seem like something Jesus would do. Jesus would let everybody into heaven that.
Right.
Well, not everybody, but I mean, if you confessed and gave your soul over to Christ, Jesus will let you into heaven. It's not just these people are going.
It's just
what about the other people that believe in him?
Yeah, what about the Baptists? What about the Catholics? What about the Lutherans or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to go too.
Yeah, I mean, just because and this church came to be in the 60s. So you telling me nobody in the history of Earth from the time that we started Faith Assembly back to the beginning,
nobody went to
heaven. So you can say
retarded.
You could say in a sense that he was calling himself the Messiah.
Yeah.
I mean, he never came out and called himself God, but but basically by having such a narcissistic view of himself and his quote unquote church.
Yeah, he thought he was God.
Right.
If you don't follow me, you're not getting into heaven. And that's a God complex right there for sure.
Mm-hmm. He may not be saying that he's Jesus, God the Almighty, but he's definitely saying, you're only going to get to heaven through me. And let's see, I've heard that somewhere before. Oh yeah, Jesus said that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, he definitely had a God complex.
For sure. It sounds like it. I mean, I wasn't there or nothing, so I don't know. But it definitely sounds like, from what you're telling me, this guy thought he was God.
Yeah, and he's not going to come out and proclaim that he is God like some cult leaders have done, because he was too smart for that. He was he had a college doctorate,
right.
So he wasn't gonna do that. He's not going to come out like like some of these Mormon fundamentalist groups and everything and proclaim that he's God, or hell, even Heaven's Gate. I believe that Applewhite said that he was God at one point. He was either God or he was like God's right hand man. There've been other cults.
I thought they were supposed to be like aliens. Did I get that wrong? I don't know. I thought I remember like Applewhite, whatever the fuck his name was, and his
Applewhite,
his girlfriend or whatever. Didn't they like claim to be aliens or like in contact with aliens, and that's why they were catching the comet?
I think it was aliens combined with God. Now I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've.
I know it's been a long time, but yeah.
I've heard it. I mean, that's not one of the stories that I like to listen to a lot of different takes on.
Right.
So I haven't really heard very many takes on it. It's been probably 2 years since I've listened to a podcast about Heaven's Gate.
Yeah. So I just remember it when it happened, and it seems to me like, I mean, he called himself Doe and she called her and Ray or something, like the Do Re Mi Fa Sol La Ti. That
no, it was Doe and Peep.
Was it? I thought they went from the scale, but it could have been.
They might have. I can't remember. I thought it was Doe and Peep. One of them was Doe, and they also had this other thing where it's like you take the first 3 letters of your name and put Odie at the end of it, and that was your name. So I would be Bill Odie.
I'm not even going to try to say mine.
Todd Odie.
Yeah, no, that's terrible. I would not want to be called that.
No.
Just call me Toddzilla. That's my name.
Toddzilla. Hey, we should start a cult, the cult of Godzilla.
Yes.
The Church of Godzilla.
And everybody's name is their first name plus Zilla.
Yep, I'm Bill Zilla.
I'm Toddzilla. Hell yeah. Except we can't do that, though, because Toho will sue us.
True. Well, then why didn't they sue the American companies that made those god-awful movies?
Because they licensed it from Toho.
Oh. Okay.
They paid Toho a lot of money to make that fucking abomination.
Yeah, I don't like any of the American-made Godzilla films.
I like the newest ones. But the one in, like, what was it, 98 or 99 that they did?
King of the Monsters I thought was a good one, but the first two that they made, I didn't really care for. No, the second one.
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah, with King Ghidorah and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, that was King of the Monsters. It was Godzilla, and then wasn't it King of the Monsters, and then Godzilla versus Kong, right?
Yeah, Godzilla versus Kong is the latest one.
I mean, see, those weren't bad because Godzilla actually looks like Godzilla's supposed to look more. Well,
they were bigger than the giant iguana that attacked New York City.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I hated that one.
You know, I liked it. I liked it for Godzilla parts. I thought there was some neat ideas, and
it looked good.
Yeah, it did. I mean, well, it's Roland Emmerich, dude. It's going to look good, but
yeah,
you know. But yeah, as far as it being a Godzilla movie, that was just that was the abomination of the lot, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that was almost as bad as Godzilla flying with his tail.
Oh, the kick.
Yeah.
The jump kick. Yes.
Oh, in Godzilla Final Wars, it's basically a movie where all the monsters that he's faced appear on Earth at one time, and he has to fight all of them. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, they show the iguana from that 1998 Godzilla, and he's only gets on screen for about 3 seconds.
Yeah, I saw that. Just gets wiped out. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
There's another movie that I saw that was really good called Shin Godzilla.
Oh yeah, I watched that one. That was an interesting take on it.
Yes, I really enjoyed that one.
It was a total reboot.
Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed that. I thought that was well done. But anyway, hashtag.
That was a Toho movie.
Yeah, it was.
Hashtag, but I digress. Anyway, the Glory Barn was full. It had 2 levels, and it was just standing room only and everything. And the floors vibrated. The floors vibrated due to all the dancing. There were lines to get into just to get a good seat.
Oh, wow.
And, lots of people were buying into this shit. And, he began bringing in assistant preachers who at first were mainly his relatives, including a man named Steve Hill and a man named Bruce Kinsey, who both, I believe, if memory serves, were his son-in-laws.
Oh, okay.
And later on in this episode, I'm going to go at Steve Hill pretty hard. So,
all right, dude.
So there were satellite churches in multiple states, including, like Florida, Georgia. I mean, there at least 15 different states had satellite churches, but they were also in other countries as well, including England, Australia, Canada, Switzerland, and Germany.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, this guy had his tentacles everywhere. And books and tapes of his services were available for sale. They were mass produced. And I can remember my mom with hundreds of tapes of his services and services from the other people like Steve Hill and Bruce Kinsey and all that stuff. Yeah, she had more tapes from frickin' Faith Assembly than I've had albums in probably my life.
Damn. That's a lot.
Yeah. And it got too big for the Glory Barn. The Glory Barn became, it became unsafe for that many people. So they moved it to a large circus tent in Warsaw, Indiana. Where, if you weren't able to get underneath the tent, you'd still be able to see it. With no like fire code violations or anything like that.
Right. They
brought portable toilets out there. The nursery was several vans lined up together. And, it was heated with portable heaters and everything, and it was all standing room only. Now, in 1980, an epidemic of whooping coughs went through the church.
Uh-oh.
And of course, nobody went to the doctor.
Of course not.
Nope. Now, he taught faith healing, prophecy, testimonies, speaking in tongues, and having a deeper life in the Spirit, overcoming all things through faith in God, like everything that would happen, everything that could happen to you, and welcoming long suffering. basically a cult, a religious cult's way of saying suck it up and deal with it.
Right.
And that, like, if you're having adversities at work and whatnot, and
Holy shit, I do that. Am I in a cult? I have adversities at work that I just suck up and deal with.
I had a major adversity. I had a major adversity at work yesterday. God damn it, I'm back in a cult. Oh, and yesterday was long suffering. We're not going to get into what the hell happened to me yesterday. If you want to know, send us message us on one of our Twitter pages and I'll tell you.
Right.
One of our socials and I'll tell you. But I had a really bad day yesterday. So now people would be placed in remember when I said that he would take he would preach his own interpretation of the Bible and twist it to his means?
Yes.
Well, placed people would be in the congregation, like during the prayer session and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And people would prophesy, just thus saith the Lord, blah 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 blah. And it would always be something just basically backing up what Hef was saying.
Oh, so he had plants in the crowd?
Yeah, he had plants in the crowd basically, and I would okay, this is all right, that's just speculation, but there were people that would prophesy in the crowd, and strangely enough, it would back up everything that was saying. And I speak of this from experience, from memory.
Yes.
So, they probably were placed.
Yeah, they do that.
But the thing is, the level of narcissism that was there with the preachers of like Hef himself and the pastors of all the satellite churches and everything. I'm pretty sure that was a tactic that was done through, like, authorized and encouraged by Hef himself to all of the pastors of the various satellite churches.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, you need to do this, and he probably sent the same prophecies out to every church. I wouldn't put it past him.
Right. Yeah, dude. I mean, that's the easiest way to get people to believe.
Because I can remember in one of my there was a guy in the church that I was in. I remember this because they made a big stink out of it, and he got up and did a prophecy, and he was admonished for it.
Oh.
Because he wasn't I don't know.
He wasn't a plant.
Exactly. That's what made me think that. And they after the guy basically told him all to piss off, he it's just like they made a big to do about how that guy was not of the Lord, and that prophecy wasn't of the Lord.
Oh,
so
Jesus.
that remembering that, and this was at the church that I was at. This is at the one that I was at.
Right.
And so that, it's like thinking about that, because this happened when I was a kid into like my preteen, my like very early teenage years. And, we'll get into all that next week. But I mean, I just like, I would sit there and I would remember things and all that stuff. And it's just like, well, what was wrong? Why was that guy's prophecy so bad? But everybody else was the same, was everybody else who did it. And it was only like a handful of people who were, like anointed to give the prophecies. So this guy just spoke out of turn, and it got him kicked out. He didn't realize it, but he did himself a fucking favor.
Right. Only the appointed. So the plants.
Yeah, they're plants, exactly. So, but because they would all the prophecies would back up, what the Hef was preaching.
Yeah.
So since only that church were real Christians, and the only people that were going to heaven, it was a sin to associate with anyone that was not in the church. And the only legit isolation.
Yes.
The only legitimate marriages were first marriages. Divorce and remarrying was a sin, and that's something we're going to get into in episode 2 because it affected me.
Right.
But women were property. They were forced to wear like restrictive clothing, like the shortest skirt that they could wear was like several inches below the knee, and everything. They had to wear like head coverings. Like not burqas, but more like a handkerchief or something on their head.
Yeah, got to cover their hair.
Yeah, and showing any type of skin, whether it's like a like a V-cut shirt, that could lead men to stumble and stumble in lust.
Oh my!
And marriages, they actually had to be approved. Like if you wanted to get married, it had to be approved by the church.
Oh, no thanks.
Some of the things that were sins were celebrating birthdays, holidays, TV, movies, Adidas shoes.
Well, I'm definitely a sinner then.
You wear Adidas?
I've got Adidas. I love TV and movies.
Yeah. So any music that wasn't basically praise and worship music. Now we're getting on to Steve Hill. He did multiple sermons, he did a big series called The Medium of Music. And basically any music that wasn't church music was demonic. And I can remember listening to one of the damn tapes that my mom had. And when I first started listening to rock and metal and everything, I was forced to listen to those tapes like it was beaten into my head.
Uh-huh.
And basically any music that wasn't church music was demonic. Just out of convenience and everything, Steve Hill released 3 albums of him singing music that were available for sale.
Of course.
Yeah. So, but I can remember in one of his sermons, one of the things, like, okay, well, you say, what about classical? What about classical music? And it's like, well, that's just like saying, what's wrong with jazz? And everybody in the congregation goes, oh yeah. Well, what the fuck is wrong with jazz other than the fact that it's boring as shit?
Right.
But seriously, I mean, you got to be maniacally skilled in order to do it, but it's still boring.
Yeah.
So what about Christian rock? Like Stryper or Petra or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nope. And the reason being is, well, Stryper never came up. This is actually pre-Stryper.
Yeah.
But not, I mean, they were around. They just hadn't, they were still on the, like in LA, paying their dues and everything. So, well, The Appearance of Evil and Stryper definitely, well, they looked downright ridiculous back then. Other than The Appearance of Evil, and that's something that we'll get to very shortly after I get done trashing Steve Hill.
Yes.
But okay, you're going to laugh your ass off at this. As a musician, you are going to laugh your asses off at this. Okay, what's wrong with Christian rock? Christian rock is a sin. Why? Because it has that same demonic beat that all the demonic tribes in like Africa and everything, they get into a demonic trance and dance around the fire to.
Oh my God.
It's like, you mean 4/4?
Yeah.
Or 6/8?
6/8. That's devil music. 6/8.
4/4?
15/16. That's devil music.
But the thing is, and even at that point, when my mom was making me listen to those things over and over again, I was already well on my way to becoming a musician at that point. I already knew how to play guitar. I had already written some really, basic songs and stuff like that. Well, maybe not lyrics, but I'd come up with some music, just stuff that I'd come up with that I like to play.
Mm-hmm.
And even I was just like, Mom, this is the beat that he's talking about is the same beat that's in his own music.
Yep.
It 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, I didn't know it as 4/4 then, but still, I knew it was like this, and I started singing some of the songs, some of the church songs and everything. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the same beat. Yep. But nope. No,
it's different.
It's different. Yeah.
It's different because I did it.
Right.
It's the same,
yeah.
But,
Well, yeah, it's... See, and one thing that we're going to get into is I was questioning that shit.
Yes.
I was questioning all of it as a kid, and I got many ass reamings for that, and I would... we'll get into that then.
Yeah, that's next week, man. You don't remember?
Yeah.
Remember next week.
Mm-hmm. Next week. So, but it's about the same time that he was doing that. It was at least 10 different, services under the medium of music, and he was about the same time as when he released his own albums.
Oh yeah. With the same beat, but that's all right.
Yeah, you're not allowed to listen to anything. But here, I got some stuff that you can listen to. It's for sale.
Everything's for sale.
And of course, everybody in that church, and all of the damn satellites, everybody bought those tapes. Everybody did. He made a pretty penny off of that.
Yeah, I mean, if he'd actually released them like regularly, he probably would have been a fucking platinum selling artist.
Yeah, he probably would have been, because from what I remember of it at the time, I mean, you could compare it to like some of the Christian contemporary artists, like and now I can't remember a single one of them. But still, I mean, those guys did pretty well. But signing contracts was a sin.
Well, of course, because you sell your soul to the devil by signing a contract.
Right, but he did all right by selling it to everybody in that church and all the other satellites.
Well, yeah, when you have a captive audience,
exactly,
and you tell them they can't listen to anything but your shit,
right? Or like approved things.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, basically praise and worship or Steve Hill. Those are your options.
That's your options. That's all you got.
Oh, Amy Grant was demonic. Amy fucking Grant was demonic. And this was...
Fuck, I almost fucking choked on my beer.
And this was years before she released... this was years before she released that album with Baby Baby on it, where she basically started doing regular, just secular music.
Yeah.
This was before that.
Jesus. Oh, God.
So, Amy Grant. Petra. Yeah. I've seen them in concert before. I saw them at Night of Joy at Disney World. Saw Stryper there too. But yeah, it's like if you listen, I mean, you can't get more Christian than Petra.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they're are you familiar with them?
I don't know any of their songs, but I know who you're talking about. I've heard of that band, yes.
Okay, but their lyrics, they're preaching to you.
Yeah.
Like, and even Stryper does, they lay it on thick in some of their songs.
Yes, they do.
But take Stryper's lyrics and multiply it by about 10, and you got you got Petra.
Okay.
And they're a good band too. They're really talented, really really good. I mean, they're just basic like pop rock, but yeah. they're still really good. Their guitar player is great.
I just can't. That's just not for me. But I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're not together anymore. They haven't been for a long time. But still, I mean, so more on Steve Hill. Yes. More on Steve Hill. More on Steve Hill.
If somebody doesn't have less on, they have
moron.
Exactly.
So another multi-sermon thing that he did was one called No 9-Inning Games. or basically all sports were sins. It promoted a spirit of competition and pride.
Well, no shit. That's the whole point.
Yeah. You're not allowed to be. Being proud of your accomplishment is a sin.
Okay, well then, was he proud of selling all his tapes to everybody? I'm sure he was.
Exactly.
So, fucking hypocrites. Goddamn.
Mm-hmm. More sins were going to the doctor, going to the dentist, wearing glasses, doing something that showed the appearance of evil, like I mentioned before. But basically what that means is, and I use Stryper as an example because they looked like a Motley Crue or something like that. But just
they look like
yellow
bumblebees.
And black. Yeah. So, but what I'm talking about is like a candy cigarette or like a root beer or a near beer or something like that.
I got you.
Yeah, you're not allowed to have anything that even could make somebody think that you were committing a sin.
Wow.
So drinking was bad, drinking was a sin, smoking was a sin, going to college was a sin.
What? But the guy went to college.
Yeah, he did. Going to college was a sin. And I think that was I think going to college was a sin for a couple of reasons. One is because you'd have to sign a contract. That's a sin too. You have to sign a contract, and you can't go into debt. You're not allowed to go into debt. That's a sin.
How is going into debt a sin? That's the American fucking way.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm gonna get to that right now. but also going to college is, that's gonna help you think for yourself. And I think that's the main reason. They're gonna do something. They're gonna do something that's going to motivate you to do something with your life, and basically make you think for yourself. Although I think college these days is a cult.
Yeah, probably.
So maybe they were on the right track with that, but for the wrong reason.
Could be. Oh, okay, I'll give them that one. Right track for the wrong reason. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
But that's it. They're not getting anything else.
Voting was a sin.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you weren't allowed to vote for president or your mayor or anything like that. You weren't allowed to do that. Health insurance, of course. Any career that they deemed sinful. If you were a part of that church and all of a sudden they decided that your career was sinful, you had to quit your job.
Or are they going to pay for me?
No. Long suffering, man. Faith in God. God will provide everything.
Is God going to fucking keep my car from being repossessed? I can't quit my job. I have to pay for shit. How am I supposed to buy your goddamn tapes if I have to quit my job?
You're not supposed to have a car loan.
Oh, that's right. Contract. My bad.
Yeah. And
see, I wouldn't be good at this. I would not be good at being in this cult, dude. I'd be like fucking. I'd have been kicked out a long time ago.
So, but the thing about it is, a lot of these people. Mortgages were a sin. So you basically had to rent, or unless you
rent and signing a contract, dude. You can't rent either.
That's true.
Where am I supposed to live?
I guess they make an exception for that.
So what, do I have to set up, can I set up a tent on your front lawn? Shit, you're taking all my money. You probably got a better house than I do. Can I set up a tent in your lawn? You fucking fuck stick.
and of course, military service.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, because you got to sign a contract to join the military, too, don't you?
Yeah, but that and you
kill people.
Right, and you have to take an oath. Taking an oath is a sin. But
so how do you join this cult if you don't take an oath?
Well, you don't have to take an oath. You just have to be saved. And a lot
of
cases,
that's taking an oath in a sense, is it not?
In a sense, it is. But it's a cult. They're hypocrites.
Yeah. Well, you see.
But take for example, okay, you're supposed to if you're baptized at a church, that baptism, but that's it. It's a one and done. You don't get baptized a second time.
Oh, sure you can.
They rebaptized everybody. It's like if you were a Baptist or a Presbyterian or whatever, and you'd been baptized under that, you had to because you were baptized in sin.
Oh my God.
But yeah,
it's ridiculous. How did people fall for this shit?
How did people get convinced to drink the Flavor Aid in Jonestown?
Well, yeah, same thing. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, how do you? I don't know. I guess I just don't have the mentality to like fall under that kind of control.
I don't either.
And dude, and I'm not putting you down. I know you said, I know you were a part of this, and I'm not putting you down at all.
No, and I get that, but as you'll find out next week, I mean, I took a lot of shit because even as a kid, I was
you realized
thinking for myself.
Yeah, you realized it.
I was starting to, and I got spanked several times, well, a lot of times, for just having the audacity to question something. Yeah. And we'll get into that. We'll get into that next week. But but yeah.
Yeah, you're having a hard time keeping this one separated. I can tell.
I know. I'm doing my best.
Yeah, you're doing good. It's all good, bro.
Yeah, there's just a little bit of little bit of sprinkles in this one so far, where I start to go there, but I reel it back.
Right.
I wonder if fishing was a sin.
Probably, because Jesus would have just gave you fish.
That's true. He would have turned bread into fish.
Yeah. Well, I guess he would have just turned water into water because you weren't allowed to drink alcohol.
True. But you see, all of this stuff was to isolate you and keep you struggling, keeping you dependent on them.
Absolutely.
And any problem that you had was to be brought to the church for prayer. They would pray for you, and and during the prayer sessions, you'd be like, "Oh, I'm about to be evicted because I had to quit my job as a doctor to become a cashier at a Wendy's, and I'm about to be evicted from my apartment now."
Oh, you're selling cows? That's a sin. You got to quit that job too.
And then everybody's like speaking in tongues. That's all they were doing. I'm convinced of it. You cannot tell me that you freaking get possessed and go and just start. It was just everybody going. That's a drop. But so I mean, you can't. Oh, it's so ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
it just gets worse. The further we go through this, it just gets worse and worse.
Yeah. Oh, we're not even halfway through.
Fuck, really? We're at an hour and 16 minutes. I know I had to take some breaks, but still.
Yeah, still. Oh boy. Yeah, all of this was just to keep you dependent on them. So, rape was a result of unconfessed sin.
All right.
If you dress provocatively, and keep in mind, they would consider being dressed provocatively as wearing like a V-neck shirt on a woman. But if you were dressed provocatively, angels couldn't protect women who were dressed provocatively.
I don't even know what to say to that.
They're blaming the victim. If you get raped, it's your own fucking fault. You either have unconfessed sin, which is something that we're going to get to, because that plays a big part in this as well. But if you were raped, if a woman was raped, she had unconfessed sin, or she was dressed provocatively. If she wasn't dressed provocatively, then she had unconfessed sin. Rape is a woman's fault, according to them.
So she was asking for it.
Basically.
That
you're starting to get pissed.
That is one of the most fucked up things I've ever heard in my life.
Oh shit! Just wait.
Uh-oh. What the hell are you doing to me, man?
The women This is how invasive these fucks were. The women were required to wear cotton panties because any other material could lead to rape.
What?
Yeah,
What?
like silk panties or whatever. They're so into your fucking shit that they're telling women what kind of underwear they can and can't wear. But you know what? I wonder how many women were sitting in there with with like nylon tea bags.
When was this? Probably in the 80s? I don't know. Maybe probably not a lot of them.
Actually, you know what? The people that bought into this shit were so far into it that they probably just went along with it. I mean, okay, we're going to get to it. So I mentioned before about rape being the result of unconfessed sin.
Yes.
Any injury or sickness or death or anything bad that happened to you was because of unconfessed sin.
No.
Anything.
Why?
That's how they justified, the faith in God and everything. It's just like, you have to confess your sins to, you have to confess your sins to God. And it's better if you confess them in front of the church, but you definitely have to confess them to God. And even if you literally confessed every single damn thing that you did, and they would have you do that, they would have you go to, like every night before you go to sleep, you'd have to go through your day and apologize and like ask forgiveness for any sin that you might have committed.
Okay.
So, but you were because if you committed a sin and then went to sleep without confessing that sin and repenting, if you died in your sleep, you're going to hell.
Oh. Well, dude, that's cool because all my friends are going to be there. I don't mind. Just saying.
Oh boy. So, but
well, actually, that's just a joke. I'm an atheist. I'm just going to be fucking worm food, so it's fine. Yeah, I'm not. I just never bought into that whole control thing. Like, I mean, dude, even just like basic organized religion is all about control.
I still do believe in God.
Well,
I do believe in God.
That's fine.
But
I have no problem
with that. I'm not like a religious fanatic or anything like that. I don't think that God is going to, damn me to hell because I watched Star Wars.
I would hope the fuck not. I would think that God, if there is a God, I would think that he watches Star Wars. I would like to think that.
I would too. It's great. I love Star Wars.
But you know what I'm saying, though, dude? I mean, never mind. We won't go into it now.
Well, we'll cover Star Wars in part 2.
All right. It's not even that. It's just, dude, I mean, my whole opinion of organized religion is just to keep people under control. You terrify the people. The people like under you or people that whatever around you by saying, hey, if you do this, you're going to go to hell, a place of eternal damnation. And you scare people into fucking thinking that's going to happen when nobody knows if that happens or not.
And you know what? If you are, I think it was George Carlin that said this. If you are walking the walk and everything because you're afraid that you're going to go to hell, then you are, meanwhile, you're gonna thumb your nose at like an atheist that doesn't believe in God, but he's a really good person, doesn't but you think that he's going to hell because he doesn't believe in God, and meanwhile you're just walking the walk just because you're afraid of going to hell. You're a worse person than he is.
Yeah.
I think it was George Carlin that said that,
Probably.
or some variation.
It sounds like George Carlin.
It does.
But yeah, I mean, dude, just because I don't believe in God doesn't mean that I don't obey the law.
Right.
I mean, I'm not a bad guy.
I wish that George Carlin had gone to one of Hef's services and just stood up and just went off on him.
That would have been fucking amazing.
That would have been epic.
That would have been a fucking beat down of the century right there.
Mm-hmm. But there was like that whole thing where he's talking about there is no God, and then where he says, if there is a God, may he strike me down, and all that stuff. That thing, I ain't gonna lie, that kind of made my skin crawl a little bit. But you know what? Just because George Carlin says things that I don't disagree with doesn't mean that I don't think that he was brilliant.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
I mean, 90% of the stuff that he did, I liked and I agree with. 10%, not so much. Right. But you know what? I get to, and the reason I brought that up is because I get to pick and choose. I get to think
get to make
myself.
That choice. Yeah, you get to make
exactly.
That choice.
Yeah, I get to think for myself and decide what I'm going to believe, what I'm gonna do, and you know what? Everybody else has that right too.
Yes, exactly.
It's part of being a freaking human. You can believe what you believe what you want to believe, and don't tell my wife and daughter what kind of panties they can fucking wear.
Exactly.
Jeez.
Hashtag, but I digress. Even though we came back to the story at the end there, but still.
Well, no, this whole isolation thing, and this is with Faith Assembly, this is with any other cult and everything. I mean, they beat you down and they isolate you and they get you to depend on them and they get you to like stop believing in yourself. Yeah. They get you to not, just basically take what you're handed and not think for yourself. That is every single cult that ever existed.
Yeah, that's how they get control of you.
Mm-hmm. So that wasn't necessarily a hashtag, but I digress.
Yeah, I mean the part before was we talked about Carlin and all that, but you just didn't.
Not really, because what I was doing is I was putting it into terms with about
I got you
for people that don't people that weren't raised in cults.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So anything that the higher ups decided was a sin became a sin. Basically, if somebody gets a wild hair up their ass, that's a sin.
Dude, you know what this sounds like to me? Animal Farm by George Orwell.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does.
All animals are equal, but pigs are more equal than everybody else.
Right. But with elements of 1984 as well, with all the doublespeak.
Yes, but yeah, dude. I mean, I wonder if fucking old Hobart, old Hef there, read those books and went, "Hey, I can do something with this."
It wouldn't have surprised me. Although, I think Orwell was an atheist, though.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
But no, the reason.
Obviously, this guy was a fucking hypocrite. So I mean.
Right, but at the same time, the reason I brought up that, I can't remember. I think Orwell was an atheist, but I
mean, he wrote those books a long time ago, so it's just like,
back in the 20s,
and went, "Hey, I remember this book,"
but he can't.
Let's see if this shit works in real life.
But because of the fact that, if he did read those books or any other books like that or whatever. He would have to keep that like really quiet from everybody because of the fact that, George Orwell is an atheist.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying, though. But we've already discussed that this guy was a hypocrite, so why wouldn't he have done it?
Well, he could do it. I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm saying that he couldn't let people know that he did it.
Oh, of course not. And he wouldn't because he's a hypocrite.
No, because, and he's a smart hypocrite.
Yeah.
Anything that the higher-ups decided was a sin became a sin, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Through divine prophecy, of course.
Of course.
And I was in meditation last night, and I was awakened by a shining bright light. Overhead, a glorious spirit. He gave me a message, and you all need to hear it.
Oh.
For those of you who don't listen to heavy metal, that was "Send Me Your Money" by Suicidal Tendencies, and it's very appropriate for this topic.
Yes, indeed.
But yeah, it's just like they would come up, and this was and the prophecies and everything, and then Hef would touch on it. Well, not that the pastor would touch on it and everything, and it's just like, okay, well, guess what? And for example, and this is something from my story, but I'm gonna tell it here so that I don't, it fits better here than it would in my story.
Okay.
Now my mom used to be, she was very good with a needle and thread. Yeah, I mean, she would make quilts, she would make clothing, she was gifted with that stuff. Now, when Cabbage Patch Kids came out, which was a sin, they, my mom found these knockoff heads that that looked like Cabbage Patch Kids, but they weren't. So she started making, bodies for these heads, like plastic molds,
Yeah.
Yeah, just like the heads on the Cabbage Patch, and she would make the bodies for them and everything, and she was doing it of her own dime, and she wasn't charging anything, so she was giving these. I think they were called doll babies, is what they were with the what the molds were called,
right.
Doll babies.
Yeah.
So she was making them for the little girls in the church, and
Aww.
word got back to the she's being a nice person, and she wasn't charging anybody for these things. So, word got back to the preacher that she was doing this, and he pulled my mom aside, and he was just like, "Well, I'm gonna have to pray on this and find out if it's okay." And my mom's like,
"My life."
My mom's like, "Okay." So then, next week, pulls her aside again. I prayed on it, and it gives the appearance of evil because they look like Cabbage Patch Kids. So that's what I mean when I say that everything they decided was a sin became a sin.
Yeah.
So my mom stopped doing them, and the babies that she made were destroyed.
Oh, I bet that made all the little girls in the church fucking just freak the fuck out.
Oh yeah, and that's something we'll get to in part 2, but not this episode.
Yeah.
But
here, I gotta take that away from you because it's evil.
Yeah. Oh no! God, that happens so freaking much. That happens so freaking much. And like my Star Wars figures. So, it just. I mean, my mom was heartbroken because she had put all this time and work into making these damn things.
Yeah, she was being a mom.
And for what? Yeah, and you know what? From what I remember, they look really good. I mean, she did a hell of a job. Like now, she could take those and she could go, open up a flea market booth, and she'd probably make a killing.
Right.
But anyway, that's okay. Now I don't have to cover that in part 2.
Okay.
But it fit better here than it would with the other.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't about me. That was about my mom. So.
Yeah.
But if you felt bad for yourself, it was a spirit of self-pity. And then a spirit of insert word here. It was an easy way for them to just say, shut the fuck up and stop thinking for yourself. It's sin.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, it's like, okay, let's say that, I don't know, I didn't want to, let's say I was trying to get, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something that didn't require a fucking contract. But
right.
But let's just say let's just say that I tried to start a business, an approved business, and it fell through, and my business license was rejected or whatever, and so I took that to the church and I said, okay, I'm really upset that this didn't go through. I mean, it would have really helped me out or whatever. You have a spirit of self-pity. and you need to repent. So it's like, okay, not only have my dreams just been shit on by whatever, but now I have to apologize for it. It's my fault. Kind of like rape with women.
Yeah.
It's their fault. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's fucking fucked up, man. God damn.
And it was like that for anything. It's like anything that was bothering you, anything that was bothering you. You have a spirit of insert
whatever it is here.
Whatever here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything was a spirit of this, and you had to repent and be prayed over.
Oh.
Sci-fi and fantasy were occult.
Of course.
Like they were of the devil.
Yes, of course, because Captain Kirk was evil.
Yeah. Corporal punishment was a way of life. Yeah, they had a very strict spare the rod, spoil the child mindset.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. And they also had a whipping room in the church. That's what it was called. Whipping room.
Oh.
So now we're getting into the really bad shit. The deaths.
I'm guessing that the whipping room wasn't a place where like all the adults gathered and got freaky.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah, sex.
Well, like just sit there and like whip each other. People get that's like a freaky thing.
Oh, you mean like the flagellation?
Yeah. Flagellation.
Yeah. No, they didn't go that far. Although, if this shit had gone on, like with if Pep hadn't died and everything, I don't know. I do think that it could have become something like Jonestown or something like that, like a full blown cult where the leader is just a total fucking fanatic, and at that point, declares himself God and all that stuff,
and fucks everybody.
And fucks everybody. Yeah, it could have become that. I don't know that it would have. I'm just saying it could have. So, yeah, but although Faith Assembly doesn't have the death count that that Jonestown does, but it does have a death count, and that's where we're going now.
Yep.
If someone died young or of a preventable illness, now that meant that they were not right with God, and they were punished for it, and they were in hell.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, if you went to the doctor, you were kicked out. If they found out that you went to the doctor, you were kicked out. You were kicked out of the church. Excommunicated, basically. Or shunned, as the Mormons put it.
Right.
So, or, no, that's the Amish. Amish is shunned. But babies are born in the house, no sedation. And, lots of babies died in childbirth for something as simple as, like, an umbilical cord being wrapped around the neck at birth. And it's just, just ignorance of birthing procedures.
Wow.
Just simple birthing procedures, that any doctor would have known. But because these procedures weren't performed, lots of babies died.
Wow. That's
in childbirth. And lots of mothers died as well.
That's dude, I don't even know what to say to that. That's so fucked up. I don't even know what to. Fuck.
Oh shit, we're just getting started, bro. And of course, birth control was a sin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you're either not having sex with your spouse because you don't want to have a kid, or you're trying to master your pull-out game.
Right. Well, dude, that'd probably be a sin too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that's not natural. Pull-out's not natural. Sexual abuse of kids was not a sin.
What?
Apparently, for some people.
Oh, for some people.
Because okay, I had mentioned on our previous episode that I was a guest on another podcast, Human Monsters.
Yes.
They did a episode on Faith Assembly, and they had me and two other survivors of that cult on there, and one of them was a female, and she says that she was sexually abused as a kid, and I believe her.
Oh yeah,
I absolutely believe her. But all I'm saying is I don't know of that specifically, but I believe her.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, I believe her, because I mean, just everything else is going. I mean, this girl's not going to lie about that. She's 28 or 29 years old now, and everything. She's been out of the cult since she was 18.
Yeah.
And she basically just turned. Just turned. This cult is still active.
Yeah. Right.
And her dad was a minister.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, her stories. She's gone on several podcasts to tell her story and everything, and I mean, she's really, really nice girl. She's a musician like we are. She's a songwriter. She just released an album. Her album is called Damage Undone.
Oh,
and it's like a concept album.
Cool.
And her, the first 5 songs on it are about, like her time in the cult and all the horrors that she dealt with. And then the last 5 songs are about how after she got away and basically told her dad to piss off, and started making a life of her own. Yeah, and it's not my style of music. It's like pop. But
yeah.
But I mean, she's super talented. She plays like 6 instruments.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
hell yeah.
Yes. So her name is Ivana. Avannah Sophia. Sophia, and we'll link to her music in the notes on this. She's on Spotify and all the other platforms and everything. She's nice.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome
Go check
girl.
her out. Shit. Yeah. Hell yeah.
So, but just in the time that Hobart Freeman was alive, over 100 people died young of preventable things like diabetes complications, stroke, or anything like that.
Wow.
Many other people were permanently injured due to easily corrected injuries, like somebody sprains their ankle and nothing happens. It's not treated. It's not set or anything like that. So,
yeah,
they walk with a limp for the rest of their life.
Right.
Because it grinds out the cartilage, bone on bone.
Oh yeah.
Mental health was ignored. Autism, like autism and other types of mental issues and everything. The person was possessed.
Oh God, Jesus, fuck.
Yeah, that's how it looked. I mean, it's just like all these things were like demons were possessing the person that was afflicted, like autism. No, it's not autism. Your child is possessed by the devil.
Oh my God! Wow, that's damn it, dude. This is. I don't know. I think this first part is bothering me more than the second part is going to bother you.
I think after doing this first part, the second part's not going to bother me at all.
Well, good. But this is bothering me. I mean, God. Ugh, fuck.
Well,
what the fuck, man?
You never knew about it. And yeah, it's just like I'm not like I talk about it to when it comes up.
Yeah.
Something like this just never came up with the two of us.
No, but I mean that's not even that, dude. It's just that I just don't understand how people can fall for this shit.
I don't either. I didn't then. I definitely don't now.
Oh,
I mean,
I guess it is what it is, but
Yeah. So, I mean, when all right, story time.
All right.
This isn't a digression. This is part of the story.
Okay.
There was a woman in the church that I was in, and I'm telling this now so that I don't have to put it, because it's not part of my story. This is part of somebody else's story.
Yeah.
So I'll just put that in now, just like I did with the other thing. But there was this woman who had a son who was about my age at the time. Well, still about my age, but he would, he had something wrong with him, or he was definitely special needs and everything. He did not have the ability to speak, to form words, to form sentences and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
So when he talked, it was just like, it sounded like he was babbling.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But the kid, obviously, I don't know if he was autistic. I don't know if he was, I don't know what he had. I have no clue what it was. But he, his mom never took him to the doctor or anything like that. And she came into the cult about the time when he would have been starting to talk, and then he just never learned to talk. So this wasn't an issue before she joined before she joined.
Yeah.
But it became an issue.
That's fucked up.
And never took him to the doctor or anything like that. I mean, she was there before I was.
Uh-huh.
So they would just, like, every so often they would drag this kid up to the podium in front of everybody and just lay their hands on him and praying in tongues, screaming, release this child, blah blah blah. This just lost it.
Yeah. Sorry, brother. It's the kid thing. I know. It's fucking kids, dude. Doing shit like that to kids is just fucked up.
This could have been me, and you know what? Okay, but this could have been me.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Oh, and believe me, I bear the scars of the shit that happened to me.
Oh, I'm sure you do, brother.
In a literal sense. We'll get to that next week.
Yeah, that's next week.
But it's just this poor kid. He's screaming his fucking head off. He doesn't know what's going on.
Oh, yeah, I bet he's fucking terrified.
And he has no clue what's going on. It's like, why are these people screaming at me? And I totally believe that this kid knew what was going on. He just didn't have the ability to express anything because he couldn't talk. I don't know what he had.
Right.
But he couldn't talk. Now, fast forward.
Well, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. If he could have talked, they would have still said he was possessed by the devil because he was talking.
Oh yeah,
now,
right.
But anyway,
no. If all of a sudden he had, if one day all of a sudden, like, whatever it was just went away and he started talking or like trying to talk or whatever, it would have been hallelujah.
Yes. He saved you.
But yeah, so the fast forward years, I was out and I was about 20, I guess about 20 years old or so, 20, 21. And for whatever reason, I went to this revival at this church in Melbourne. Guess who I ran into there?
That kid.
This woman and her son.
Yeah.
This woman now, or this son, this kid, now a grown man, still couldn't talk.
Huh.
And he's just being led around with his mother. She never took him to the doctor. And now he's a grown fucking man. And you know what? It really got to me that night Because he remembered me. I could tell he remembered me.
Yeah.
He just, he made eye contact with me. He waved at me.
Oh wow.
But he still couldn't talk.
Oh, damn, dude. That's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, that's child
abuse.
And
yeah.
yeah, big time.
Yeah, for sure.
Because hell, it could have just been something as simple as a really bad speech impediment. There might not have actually been anything wrong with him other than maybe his tongue was wired the wrong way, which happens.
Yeah.
And through therapy, you can beat that.
Right.
Easily. It's an easy process.
Yes.
They can do that. Even back then, I guess that was the 90s. Even back then, they could do that. It wasn't that big of a deal. But the thing is, she doesn't know what it was. It could have been autism. It could have been just a speech impediment. I mean, hell, sometimes people are born with restrictive skin underneath their tongue that doesn't let them move their tongue.
Yeah.
A simple incision can fix that.
Yeah. That's tough, dude. That's terrible.
Mm-hmm. On October 23rd, 1974, Barbara Klaus, and she was basically like the what's the word? The Surgeon General. She was the Surgeon General of that particular county. And she was concerned that the Glory Barn was a health hazard. And she had also learned that diabetics weren't taking insulin, pregnant women weren't receiving pre or postnatal care. And then they were lying, when babies would die, they would line up the babies, like on the altar and everything. And they would put live babies next to dead babies. After, they're trying to get the live babies to use their, I don't know, to bring the dead ones back.
What the fuck?
And of course, it never happened.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. One woman, there was, prayed over a dead baby for 4 days before it was forcefully removed from her.
That's just, that's just sad.
Yeah.
That's, fuck, man. Fuck.
Many deaths were reported, and the media ran with the story. And, they blamed on the fact that, that no medical care was given, declined, and it, and it was oftentimes refused even if it was offered.
Yeah.
So, in May 1983, the Chicago Tribune ran a story of David Gilmour, not Pink Floyd's guitar player.
Okay, cool.
He was the 15-month-old son. David Gilmour's 15-month-old son died 5 years earlier of an easily treated form of meningitis. Gilmour and his wife said that they had relied on their faith in God to heal their son. They said that he knew of at least 12 other children who had died under similar circumstances of preventable illnesses.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
Fuck.
The Tribune also dug up 52 other deaths of church members in Indiana and several other states of the same preventable illnesses. Just preventable illnesses. I'm sure there's some people out there that might have had a compromised immune system, got a cold, and died of it.
Yeah. But still.
Later, Nightline ran a story that pregnant women had died in Faith Assembly, like, 8 times more than the national average, and children 3 times more than the national average. They discovered that 19 states and 5 countries where Faith Assembly had satellites, where they discovered that those types of deaths had taken place there to church members.
Wow.
This is back when the media actually reported.
Yeah, when they actually reported stuff instead of just regurgitating fucking bullshit.
And being, a hit squad.
Yeah.
Thought control was preached. They were preached to empty minds of any negative thought about a person or a problem. Praise the Lord was used the same way that you or I or anybody else would say, that's cool.
Uh-huh.
If something bad happened or something crazy, scary or whatever happened, it was just, I rebuke blank in the name of Jesus.
Wow.
And if somebody happened to see something like a car accident or whatever, like happen in front of them, they'd be like, the blood of Jesus.
Oh God.
The blood of Jesus, like saying a quick prayer over something, but in all actuality, what it was is it replaced cuss words.
Yeah. Jeez, wow.
I mean, it was, even, I mean, I can remember my mom saying, the blood of Jesus, because somebody walked by me wearing an Iron Maiden t-shirt.
Oh boy.
And then after something like that happened, we would have to pray to remove the evil that we had witnessed, like somebody wearing an Iron Maiden t-shirt.
Oh, well, yeah, there's that.
Yeah. So Hebb was charged with aiding and abetting in the death of one person as he was charged with negligent homicide.
Oh yeah, what'd he do? Pray real hard and get let off?
No, he died.
No, he died.
I just skipped forward about 2 lines, but nothing came of it. But at least 90 members of Hebb's own church died of preventable illness and the time that he was there. His own church.
Jesus,
that's
man.
That's not including all of the satellites in the United States and the rest of the world.
All right, so
But you know what?
It's 90 people at his church, and how many other were there? I mean, dude, that's like that's a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, several people died young in the church that I was part of.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing. Oh, if they had unconfessed sin, or they weren't right with God.
Jesus. Ugh. That fucking infuriates me.
Mm-hmm. So I said that at least 90 members of his church did. Including him.
Oh, including him. So he had a
preventable illness.
But he had
no, hold on, don't jump ahead.
Okay.
Don't jump ahead. Think hypocrisy here.
Yes.
So, ding dong, the Hep is dead. So, 2 weeks before he was scheduled to go to court, he died of pneumonia and congestive heart failure. He even died. He even had gangrene in his leg.
Oh,
which was probably because of like diabetes complications.
Yeah. Right. Well, he certainly wasn't bit by a rattlesnake, so.
Nope.
Sorry, I had to go back there.
All of this was, all of that. Yeah, the congestive heart failure, that wouldn't have happened had he been taking care of himself, and the pneumonia only got him because he was in such bad shape because he hadn't taken care of himself, and then the gangrene in his leg. I mean, people getting gangrene. I mean, that usually, unless you have some sort of like a major gash or infection or something like that, you're not going to get gangrene.
Nah.
So, and you're not going to get gangrene as a result of polio, which he had, but but you're gonna, you can get it if you have diabetes complications.
Yes.
So yeah, all of this is, preventable. Didn't have to happen.
No, sure didn't.
But he kept going, knowing that he had fucking gangrene in his leg, and it actually, toward the end, it forced him to preach sitting down.
Oh wow!
But he refused medical help to the point where he wouldn't even let people change his bandages to clean his fucking leg.
Again, what the fuck?
Hey, one thing you got to say about him is he did practice what he preached.
Yeah, and look what it got him.
Dead. D-E-D. Dead. What was that from? Dead. D-E-D. Dead. Actually, I think it was from the Jerky Boys.
Might have been. I don't remember.
I don't know. But it was from something.
Yeah, who knows? Who cares? It doesn't matter.
But yeah, it don't matter. But when he died, as he was dying in his house, like in the days that led up before, he just had people in his house just like, like laying hands on him. And just like, like, oh, yeah, they're just freaking preying on him like he's, but it ultimately, of course, he died. But the kicker, his wife wasn't allowed in as he died.
Really?
These people kept his wife out.
Huh.
Because, I mean, I'm laughing because it's so fucking horrible.
Yeah. That's what?
I mean, it's just, they wouldn't even, his wife wasn't even allowed to be there when her husband died.
I think this may be the most times I've ever said, what the fuck, in my life.
Oh.
Dude, and I work in a kitchen, man. I show up to work and I start using fuck like a comma.
Well, I mean, this is the first time I've told the entire fucking story ever.
Yeah.
And you know what? When I talk to it again, it's like if it comes up again, I'll tell a little bit about it. I'll be like, if you want to know everything, go listen to my fucking podcast.
Yeah, right. Give us some views or listens, whatever the fuck it is.
Oh, we're growing. We're growing. People are digging the show.
Oh no shit, dude. I mean, fuck. You put the fucking last one up, and it got like 10 or 15 in like a couple hours.
Like an hour, yeah, an hour or two.
Anyway,
so I wonder if those people are pissed off at us because we got them.
Well, I don't know. I guess if the views drop off, then the word's getting around like this one's a joke. Don't listen to it.
Yeah.
I keep saying views, listens, whatever the hell it is.
Listens, whatever.
I don't know. I guess I'm a YouTube junkie, so I go by views.
So I have here, this is a book quote. And this is a book quote from one of Hef's books. And this is verbatim. This is word for word.
Okay.
To claim healing for the body and then to continue to take medicine is not following our faith with corresponding action. When genuine faith is present, it alone will be sufficient, for it will take the place of medicine and all other aids.
No. Obviously not.
No. And I was just at a doctor today to get an x-ray on my hip.
Sinner.
I guess I can't be in the cold anymore.
Damn it, man.
Oh, there was in the church that I was in, and this is another thing that I'm just throwing here because so I don't have to talk about it in my story because it's not my story. This will be quick. But there was a woman who she was pregnant, and she had some sort of like I don't know, a breach. I don't know the terminology, but basically the baby died and it was going to kill her too.
Oh, so
Yeah, it was
okay,
like
yeah, it died in utero
at
or whatever.
yeah, atopic.
Oh, an
I don't
ectopic
know.
pregnancy.
Yeah, breech baby.
Well, breech is when they're
I
born
don't know.
feet first.
Oh no, this wasn't that. The baby, a
So she missed. She had
a tube. She had a tube birth. That's what it was. She had a tube birth.
Oh, okay. So it didn't make it all
I
the
don't,
way out.
and
It started
yeah,
growing.
and I don't.
Okay.
Okay, well, I don't know what that is either. But
I think that's
but
what you said. I think that's ectopic, but I don't hold me to that because, like I said, like you said, I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV.
either way, the woman and her husband decided to go to the hospital, and her life was saved, and they were able to get the baby out of her. But if they hadn't done that, she would have died.
Yeah.
And you know what? When they found out that it was that they had gone to the hospital, they were kicked out of the church.
Well, lucky them.
Yep, exactly. Lucky them. And I was friends with their son. And
the one that made it out. Sorry,
yeah,
I couldn't help it.
Well, I mean, it's just
you know what I mean when I said the one that made it out.
Yeah, I do. So Hef's death wasn't reported for 13 hours because there was an all-night prayer session for his resurrection.
Just when I thought I couldn't say "what the fuck" one more time. What the fuck?
Yeah, they kept thinking that God was going to resurrect him the same way that Jesus was resurrected.
That took 3 days.
Yeah.
13 hours. Fuck.
So they really thought that he was God.
Apparently.
Or at least an anointed servant.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But so and after his, I mean, can you imagine? Just imagine the scene. Like people not sleeping. Just like putting their hands on him, and they had already been doing this for several days because it took several days for him to die.
Yeah.
But after he died, and he probably released his facilities.
Yeah, that happened.
And there's still like. Dude,
this guy just pissed and shit all over himself, man. Why are we still doing this?
Because they believe.
I mean, dude, somebody in that group was like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, right. Probably. I would like to hope so, but at the same time, if you told me that wasn't the case, I would believe you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure that the only people allowed in there were
the major higher ups,
the firm,
like
the strong
Steve
believers,
Steve Hill, Bruce Kinsey, and all like the other junior pastors. That's probably it. That's probably all it was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like just the regular fucking normies weren't allowed in.
No, his wife wasn't even allowed in.
Yeah, well, that's fucked up.
Yeah. So, but after they finally accepted it, that he was dead. His, for weeks, his wife would leave a suit out for him, expecting him to walk in and get dressed.
Poor woman.
Mm-hmm. But she was just in as much into it as he was. I mean, and I wouldn't be surprised if she knew that the whole thing was a crock of shit, just like he did. So I'm not going to say poor woman on her.
Yeah, well, okay, but still, though,
Well, but she should have been allowed to be in there to be there for
her husband.
For her husband when he died.
Exactly.
But later, it was accepted that Hef's death was God's will.
Of course, it was.
when anyone else died of a preventable illness, it was because they had unconfessed sins and they weren't right with God.
Yeah.
When Heth died, it was because God called his servant home.
Of course. Because God, God forbid the leader of this group has unconfessed sins.
Yeah.
God, dude.
But can you imagine the fucking, the slap in the face to somebody that had lost a fucking loved one of, I don't know, diabetes complications or something simple like that? And it's like, oh, well, he wasn't right with God and he's in hell. Meanwhile, fucking Heth dies and, he
got called home.
He was perfect. God called him home. It's just fucking ridiculous, the hypocrisy. And the people,
fuck yeah, dude.
People still think about it. Yeah, and like, okay, so that, it died. And a lot of the satellite churches, including the one that I was in, deteriorated, like, pretty soon after.
I would hope
after the fact. I think mine lasted like another 2 or 3 years, and then they just, I don't know. I honestly don't know. At first, I was thinking that it deteriorated like after he died, like immediately. But then I got to thinking about, my age at the time and all that stuff. It's like, no, it was a couple years later.
Yeah.
But it's still in operation.
I can't believe that. Well, I guess people need something to.
You know what? I'm gonna I'm gonna put Ivana's story. I'm gonna link that in our notes as well, so that you can hear what she went through. But I'll probably do that on part 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so that people will be able to hear my story, then go and listen to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll link another podcast. And I'll decide which one. There's only been 4 episodes, done in podcasts that I could find, and so these would be number 5 and number 6. And one of the 4 is one that I was on.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'll try to find her, the one where she tells her story. I mean, she doesn't go into as much detail as I'm going to, but then again, she doesn't have her own podcast.
Right.
So it's just like right now I'm like Adam Sandler. I have a microphone and you don't, so you will listen to every damn word I have to say.
Yeah. That's funny.
But I mean, I'm not gonna. I don't want to do interviews on our podcast. I don't.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we're gonna shout next. We're gonna shout out another episode, and she's gonna be telling her story to some friends of ours, Monsters in the Midwest. As far as I got her in touch with them, and she's going. And as far as I know, they're gonna do an episode with her.
Oh, cool.
With Ivana. We love those 2 girls. They're our buddies, and we're working on doing an event with them and with Morbidly Intoxicated.
Yes, looking forward to that.
Yeah, and so just those are our 2 main podcast friends at this point, and we're welcome to network and work and stuff like that, and promote others. Got a podcast? Send it to billzillaprod@gmail.com, and we'll do a promo swap.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, so like I said, it's still the cult is still in operation. Steve Hill reportedly is teaching a normal church now.
Okay.
But I don't know about any of the others, but Steve Hill is apparently pulled his head out of his ass and is just teaching a normal church.
All right.
But there are others, like Ivana's dad, that are still teaching the cult doctrine.
Oh.
And and there are churches around that are called Faith Assembly, but it's the same name. There are 3 Faith Assembly churches near me, but I did a little bit of research. I made a couple phone calls, and the churches around here that are called Faith Assembly, they're part of the Assembly of God, which is a branch of the Pentecostal church.
Okay.
Like, so basically, if you see a church called Faith Assembly, there's a really good chance that it's not the cult.
Yeah, so don't burn
because
it
of
down,
everything. Right. Everything that happened, because of everything that happened. They're not calling themselves Faith Assembly. The ones that are still in operation, they're not calling themselves Faith Assembly. In fact, the one that I was part of was not called Faith Assembly.
Oh.
So, and actually, the one that Havana was part of was not called Faith Assembly. So, just because it's called Faith Assembly was the originator, and a lot of the satellites came up with different names, especially after the allegation, the stories of all the deaths and everything started coming out. So, but no, I called a couple of the Faith Assemblies that are near me. There's one in Tampa, there's one in Plant City, and there's one in Orlando. I called all three of them, and they're all linked to the same. They're all part of the Pentecostal. That they're basically all one unit, and they had no idea who Hobart Freeman was. And one woman that I talked to, she's like, "Wait, there's a cult called Faith Assembly?" I'm like, "Yeah, you might want to look into it." and then she invited me to church service.
Oh wow!
And I'm just like, and I told her, I said, it's like I'm a survivor of the cult. It was called Faith Assembly, and I said I'm glad that this isn't part of them. So if you see a church called Faith Assembly, there's a really good chance that it's not the cult, but it might be. So do some research.
Just because it says Faith Assembly doesn't mean they're bad people,
right? I mean, Faith Assembly, it actually, that he would, on the surface, that's a good name for a church.
Yeah. Sorry, man. I just tried to drown myself with beer. I hate that. I've been practicing trying to breathe beer for a very long time, and I still can't do it.
Still can't get it to work. But you know what? We're going to wrap it up, but I just have something to say.
All right.
To all of these people out there that are still preaching that doctrine of isolation, faith healing, promoting murder, the death cult. Yeah, I just want to let them know that the podcasts are coming for you. Right now, there's 4 about you that are out there that I was able to find. There might be more, but usually if it's on Spotify, what's on Spotify is pretty much all there is.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not on Spotify, it probably doesn't exist. So there's 4 now, and this episode and our next one makes 5 and 6. And I know of a lot of other podcasts are going to cover it, especially once, the extremely detailed episodes that I'm doing along with my story next week, combined with, like what Havana has done and everything. Once it gets out, other podcasts are going to start covering that, are going to start covering it. You can't hide. You're not going to remain hidden for much longer. We're going to find out what your churches are called, and we're going to out you. You are now officially on fucking notice.
Dude, did you just drop the mic? Bill just did a mic drop.
I had to pick up my mic.
Yes, Bill did a mic drop. Hell yeah. Oh, dude, that was awesome, bro.
Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Be sure to stay tuned for part 2.
Yes.
Because that'll be coming next week. And our stuff, the social media is linked in there and everything. Let us know what you thought. Absolutely, let us know what you thought, because I mean, this is something. This is another thing, like like William Cruz, and that not a lot of podcasts have covered. And so, I do want other podcasts to jump on this on the Fuck Faith Assembly bandwagon.
Sure, yeah.
And because they need to be exposed, especially because of the fact that the cult is still in existence. And
which I can't
you,
believe that, but damn.
And the reason I'm focusing so much on Ivana is because she's a lot younger than me. She is 20 years younger than me, and she was in it, and her dad's cult is still very much in operation. Her dad's chapter of it is very much in operation.
Wow.
And mine is dated. Her story with that cult, as far as like her being in it, ends 10 or 11 years ago. Mine ended in the 80s. So that's why I'm highlighting, that's why I'm like giving emphasis to her and everything. It's just like, okay, yeah, listen to my story. Absolutely listen to my story when we do it next week. But hers is more recent.
Yeah.
That's why I'm making, and you know what? I might actually let her tell her story and then just upload it on our podcast. Just like as a bonus episode or something.
Yeah.
I might do that.
Sure.
I mean, she can record her own music. She can record a podcast.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And just tell the whole thing, because that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a tell all. Like, this episode's long as fuck. Next episode's gonna be long as fuck as well. So, and you know what? I'm gonna send a copy of this to Steve Hill of both episodes when they're done.
There you go,
Steve. I'm gonna send a copy of it to him. And I love how there's like the devil's music at the beginning and the end of it, and
right.
It's my music. It's my music.
Yes.
And our outro is going to be a little different because okay, this is funny. I'm going to come clean because of the fact that like some people might call me on it after they listen to the episode. And the lyrics go, cults, cults, cults. We want to save your soul from hell. If someone says they're God, you just say farewell. What's in it for you? Being raped, abused, exploited, slaving every day to worship the demented. And then it fades out, but the bridge comes in, and I say, all hail Nimrod, hail Lucifina, bum for Bojangles, enter the arena. Yeah, okay. I wrote the song about Time Suck with Dan Cummins.
Yeah.
I wrote the song. And I sent it to him. He didn't do anything with it. So I figured just doing the chorus, just put the chorus in there. That'll be our outro for the cult episodes that we do. And I'm just like, what the hell? Because it's a good song. And so yeah, I mean, I'm not just going to cut it dead at the end of the chorus. So I'm going to fade it out and like the time suckers out there, the space lizards, they're gonna. That's another thing. We need to come up with a nickname for our listeners, but yeah, it has to come naturally though.
Yeah.
We can't just force it.
Yeah, we can't force it.
So, but yeah, it's like if some of his fans, will listen to this and everything, they'll be like, okay, well, I'm just addressing it right now. Because I know it's going to come up in the future. Like, okay, he's saying all hail Nimrod and then blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I am. It's because I wrote a song about Time Suck before we started our podcast.
Yeah.
So, and the cults. In his podcast, he'll when he's talking about cults, he'll be like, cult. So it's just, the whole song is like a tribute to his podcast because I love it.
Right on.
So just don't give me any shit about it, and it just I'm using it because he didn't, and and it fits just the chorus, but So anyway, your band,
my band.
Oh, my music, my original music is on Spotify, Bill Selby, and Spotify and all other platforms. Your band,
my band, yes. I have a band called Retroactive Days. We're on Facebook. We play like 80s retro stuff. We just got a new drummer. And, so our schedule is on Facebook. It's Retroactive Days. If you're ever in the Brevard County, Florida area, Cocoa Beach area, actually anywhere in Brevard County, we play all over. If you're ever here, visiting, whatever, check out the schedule. If you want to come see us, come see us. Come say hi. tell me, say hi, say hey. I watch or listen to Cults, Killers, Crimes, and Beer podcast, and then
Crimes, Killers, Cults, and
Beer. Is that what I said?
You said Cults, Killers, Crimes, and
Beer.
Beer.
I said it backwards. My bad. Well, it's the beer part.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Crimes, Killers, Cults, and Beer.
Right.
Say you listen to it. Say hi. I'll buy you a beer because, I'm that kind of dude.
Yeah. So we definitely appreciate you listening. I mean, we love the fact. I mean, we see it all the time. I mean, our podcast is growing,
yes,
and we love it, and we're in it for the long haul. We appreciate the hell out of you listening. I mean, damn. I mean, this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
And I like to think that we take a different spin on some of these subjects than a lot of other people have. And that, honestly, if you have a true crime podcast, that should be the goal of every true crime podcast because there's so many of them.
Yeah, there is. Well, we are infants with attitudes, so we do have a different spin on things.
Right. So, yeah, tune in next week for part 2 of this, where I'll be telling my story of my experience in the Faith Assembly cult, and expect fireworks, with some, with comedy sprinkled in there and everything, and we're gonna try and come up with a palate cleanser, like after, like for the next episode we do after part 2. Yes. We're gonna try to come up with a light one, but. Maybe.
We'll see what happens.
Maybe not. Hey, we might do Richard Ramirez. But no, we're going to try to do a palate cleanser, even though we just gave you a palate cleanser with the Operation Mindcrime episode.
I don't know. We'll figure out something. We'll do something a little bit lighter, not so maybe personal.
Right. Because this is, I mean, I've never told the story in its entirety before. So, yeah, and I ain't gonna lie, it felt refreshing to get that off of my chest, to just tell all of that and everything, and I totally am gonna send it. I totally am gonna send it to the, to the people, and even though Steve Hill's still not like preaching that doctrine, I'm gonna send it to him.
Oh yeah, I would. Fuck yeah, fuck him.
Yep.
Dude, I think I said fuck in this episode more than any other one. This one's definitely getting checked mark adult content.
Yeah, well, they all are.
Yeah, I know.
But but
this one
you weren't expecting all this, were you?
No, I was not. I should have known better, but no, I was not. Anyway.
All right, well, until next time, later.
Cheers, everybody.